If you're not growing, you're dying. A leader said that to me 12 years ago, and it changed my entire life. In fact, it's still something that resonates with me even today. It made me realize growth is human nature. It's how we adapt. It's how we survive. And it's how we succeed. We're built to grow. And that's exactly why we're here, my friends. Welcome to the Built to Grow podcast, the podcast that gives you practical tools and insights to help develop you as a person, professional, and leader. I'm your host, Valdet Selimaj. I'm a coach, facilitator, consultant, and founder of DevCore Consulting, a learning and development organization. I also have a bachelor's in psychology and a master's in organizational leadership. I've been working in the learning and development space for over a decade, and I'm very passionate about this space because it helped me learn development and personal development opportunities help me grow exponentially. I always tell my friends and anyone who will listen, anyone who will listen, that the past 12 years have been the most formative years of my life. I'm in my 40s now, and all my 30s, and the growth, the exponential growth, because I had opportunities for growth, is why I want to pay it forward. For those that invested in me, I want to invest in others. I believe that these opportunities should be available and accessible to everyone. That's why I have this podcast and I create my business, because I want to pay it forward. And every week on this podcast, we will break down personal development topics, professional development topics, things like leadership, mindfulness, well-being. Because here's the other thing. Any work that I do, anytime I train a class, do a team building, give a presentation, create a series to help a team work through a team issue, team dynamics, or I'm coaching a leader, it's with one focus in mind. It's all about developing the whole person. When we develop the whole person, when we look at like humanistic psychology, this is where people achieve self-actualization. This is where people some of their needs, like self-esteem, start to get met, and they can move towards becoming who they're supposed to be or who they want to be. Personal development. So when we look at, again, go back to psychology. When we look at psychology, there's the who we are today. That's the current self, the real self. And there's who we want to be. That's the future self. That's the ideal self. But that gap between who you are today and who you want to be in the future is known as self-discrepancy. And so the larger the gap, the larger the disconnect of who you want to be. Learning development allows you to close that gap by moving toward who you want to become through acquisition of new skills, new thinking patterns, new knowledge. But I believe that can only be done really, truly, if we develop the whole person, help people unlock their potential, help people grow in ways that surpass anything they really knew about learning development. And that's exactly what this podcast is going to be for. So if you are someone who finds yourself seeking personal growth, seeking professional excellence, maybe you're looking to become a leader in your organization, or maybe you want to find a completely different role that is aligned with what you care about. Or even personally, you want to navigate life. You want to manage your time. We have a lot of hats that we wear. How do you prioritize what's priority right now? What's important? What's not as important? This is what this podcast is for. It's to help give you tools, resources, and insight to help you move towards whatever your goal is in life, personal and professional, both. This is for you, okay? And because again, in this podcast, it's going to be all about breaking down key concepts. These episodes will be short because I know that we are busy, so I'll make them short and impactful. But this episode will be about breaking down concepts. You'll hear stories from other people. I want to hear from you as well. So this is what this podcast is going to be for. So hit subscribe. But if we want to start talking about learning development, we can't talk about that without talking about self-awareness first. Okay, so there's this research that shows that roughly about 95% of people think they are self-aware. When research shows that only about 15% of people are actually self-aware. So we just can't talk about learning development. We can't even start the learning development journey without understanding self-awareness. Like I shared earlier, I learned a lot about myself. I'm not even the same person I was, not even a little bit, 10 years ago, but it was all the opportunities that I had. And I realized I was definitely not self-aware. So what I want to do is today's episode, let's just learn about self-awareness. Let's dig into it. And then I want you, as I go through, I want to explain different types of self-awareness. And I want you to think about yourself. Where do you think you are? Where do you see yourself the most in? And then when I'm done, go ahead. I'd love to hear in the comments where you found yourself or what some thoughts were, some questions that you have about what we're going to talk about. But I want to introduce to you self-awareness through the lens of my favorite developmental model for self-awareness called the Johari Window model. And I will have an image of this. I will have all of it in my blog, valdetselimaj.com, linked in this episode description so you can access it. But the Johari Window model does a simple but brilliant job of breaking down different types of self-awareness. So let's look at it. So if we look at the Johari Window model, it's literally think about like a window pane. And within the window, there's 4 panes. The first pane is known as the open self. So the open self is the part of us that we are aware of, and so are other people. So for example, I'm someone I know when I communicate, I'm very direct. My peers know that I am direct. My family even knows that I'm direct. My clients know that I am direct. So I'm aware and they're aware. That's the open self. Next, we have the blind spot. The blind spot is the part of us that other people are aware of, but we do not have awareness of that. So they see, it could be a personality trait, it could be behavior, it could be emotional regulation, whatever it is, they see it, but you don't see it. You are unaware that you have these things. So that's the blind spot. The opposite side of that is, if we go to the third one, is the hidden self. So the hidden self is also called the facade. But this is the part of us that is known to us, but nobody else. So other people do not know about this part of us, only we know. So either maybe it's an attribute or a personality trait or a desire that we don't share. A lot of times it's a goal or ambition that maybe you want to be a singer, but you've never told anybody before. And so that's yours. Or maybe you are working on your team and you really want to be a leader, but you've never told anybody you want to be a leader. They don't know. You know, they don't know. That's the hidden self. We hide parts of ourselves for various reasons, but we all have something in the hidden. And then the fourth quadrant is the parts of us that are unknown to ourselves and to other people. Yep, there's parts of us that we don't know anything about and other people don't know anything about. And it could be anything that ranges from maybe there's a skill or a talent that you have that you've never explored and nobody has ever seen you do it. You might be a great singer, but you haven't tried it and somebody else has never heard you sing. So there's parts of us that are hidden away from our own awareness and from the awareness of others. What learning development allows us to do is start to tap into our awareness and start to move us from the blind spot towards the open self by seeing what other people are seeing. It allows us to look at that facade and allow us to better communicate parts of ourselves so that things do become known, and that moves us to the open self. And then there's so much we yet don't even know until we learn about some things. And that's where there'll be parts of you that are hidden to you and others will start to come to your awareness. We'll start to see the light, but it will happen through learning and development and personal growth. I want to give you some practical things that you can do today, starting right now, to help you increase your own self-awareness. First, think about just personal growth. I would recommend just start journaling. Every day, before you go to bed, journal how your day went, what challenges did you experience, what skills did you use, where was there an opportunity for growth, where could you have maybe there was a new skill that you needed that you didn't have, what could have helped that situation be better. These are things you want to start reflecting on Maybe there was a time, maybe there was you turned in a project late at work. Okay, well, what happened? What happened with the project? When we journal, we activate the prefrontal cortex, and that is a part of our brain that's associated with logic and reasoning. When we reflect, that's where the learning happens. So it's not about the doing so much, it's about the reflection of the doing. And by journaling or talking to somebody, you can also do that too. That will help you start to see things that maybe you didn't see before. Patterns, behaviors, skills, traits. So consider journaling. But that journey inward is so important. That's how we start to raise our own awareness. But also remember, humans are social creatures. We learn from one another all the time. So ask others for feedback. Ask your partner for feedback. Ask your friends for feedback. Hey, how did I show up in that conflict? What could I have done differently? What did I do well in the scenario over here? How could I have supported you better? What could I have done differently in this situation? If you ask specific questions like that, you let people give you real feedback. Because if you just say, what could I do different? You're not going to get a whole lot. But if you say, hey, in that situation, what should I have done? Or what could I have done differently? That's power. But also recognize that with growth comes discomfort. And we have to be a little vulnerable when we ask for help or feedback, because we're asking people to tell us things about ourselves that may make us feel uncomfortable. Even like 2 years ago, I'm again in my 40s, and I had learned from my ex-partner that my communication in a romantic relationship was not as good as I thought it was. And I'd never even known this at all until it came to light. So that was like, and when I realized that, I was, oh my, first discomfort AF, but it helped me learn to communicate with my friends, with other people that I've dated since then. And so it was the awareness piece that was really important for me. And that's what that can do for you as well. So ask people for feedback. And it's like Brene Brown, talks about vulnerability is putting yourself at risk, but the risk can be worth the reward. So put yourself out there asking for feedback. And then also, if you're in a professional space, if you want to grow as a team member, as a leader of a team, try asking the team for feedback. Try to ask your leader for feedback. One of my favorite tools to use is the start, stop, and continue. And so you create a survey, an anonymous survey in Google Forms or Microsoft Forms, and you just ask 3 simple questions, set it to anonymous so that nobody has to register. And you say, what should I stop doing? What should I start doing? And what should I continue doing? People tend to be more honest when they are given an opportunity to be anonymous until trust can be established. Because what people don't feel comfortable giving feedback if they think they're going to be retaliated against or something bad will come out of it. So, but send your team. I love doing this. I've done this for myself. I've helped other people do this as well. So try using a start, stop, and continue this week. Set one up. And if you have questions, just comment on this video and I can walk you through how to do that. And if you're interested, I can create a video on that. You just tell me what you need and I will support you. One other thing I can also offer that's changed my life is I'm certified in various different psychometric assessments, like behavioral styles, like DISC communication. I offer them at DevCore Consulting. So if you're interested, but these psychometric assessments measure your behavioral style. They measure your communication style, your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities. So if you're interested in taking one of those, let me know. I can set you up with all information to purchase one. And then I also do personal coaching, which I also recommend if you find that maybe you're not comfortable asking friends or coworkers or peers or leaders for feedback, work with a coach. I will work with me. I'll put my contact info in there. If you have a therapist, also talk to your therapist. A therapist is a great resource for this kind of stuff. But what I'm saying is you have options. You have different ways that you can do this. And you have various ways that are accessible for you that could be in your comfort zone, but should also stretch you a little bit. So what are you going to do? Put in the comments what's something you can start to do today. What resonated with you? Is it journaling? Is it asking for feedback? Is it start, stop, continue? Let me know. I'd love to hear what resonated with you. And then also, because I mean, if you here's the other thing about, because I practice Buddhism and mindfulness, and it's all about the journey inward. The more you know yourself, the more fully you can show up for yourself and for others. If today's episode helped you see yourself a little bit differently, share it with a friend or a colleague who you feel like is also built to grow, who's also ready to go on that journey. And then also check out my social media. I'm on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. Valdet Delivers. I'll have the links for that too, but follow me on there too. I'll have all kinds of bite-sized information that you can check out when you're driving to work or when you are, don't drive in YouTube and Instagram and all that, but you know what I'm saying. But short bursts of info. I will follow me there too. Also follow DevCore Consulting, so you can see I've got a ton of self-paced classes. I can do instructor-led classes. I offer coaching. There's resources that I offer that you can also tap into. But at the end of the day, with all of this being said, and again, also make sure you subscribe to this channel, to my podcast. I want to leave you with this final thought. You're built to grow, and growth always delivers. Thank you all for being here. I look forward to the next time. Thank you. Bye.